We saw some limbering up, some warming up, a few shooting drills, and now just small-sided games. Seems here they've got some neutral players. I think the three players in pink acting as neutrals. Then you've got the team without bibs and the team with white bibs. What this does is it creates numerical advantages or disadvantages for either the team without bibs or the team with white bibs. So in terms of defending, when you're at a disadvantage numerically, it forces you to sort of move as a unit, defend as a unit, keep things compact. Try and push your opponents into wide positions and sort of close out those passing lanes through central areas, if you like. And then when you have the numerical advantage, using those three pink neutral players, how can you use that to your advantage? Just based on the seasons they've had, Musiala and Wirtz deserve to start on either wing ahead of him. Lulawan Nasser, welcome to the chats. Nice to have you back. Questions about Scotland. Is Robertson the only player on the same level as Germany? Well, they do have one or two decent players. They've got Andy Robertson, of course, the Liverpool player. They've got Kieran Tierney, highly rated in the Premier League, formerly at Arsenal, still part of Arsenal, I believe, was on loan in La Liga for a season. Then midfield, you've got the likes of Scott McTominay. Not everyone's cup of tea, but probably one of the better performers in an underperforming Manchester United team. John McGinn at Aston Villa. What a season he's had. You've got young Billy Gilmore. Plies his trade with Brighton. Another really exciting young player. Then in attack, probably Shea Adams, their go-to striker up front. So they do have players that can affect games, that are experienced at an elite level. If we take, playing in the Premier League, I mean, you have to consider that, playing at an elite level. So I think not to be underestimated, the Scotland team under Steve Clarke as well. He's been their coach for a long time, so they've spent plenty of time with each other. It's a team that's gotten to know each other extremely well. So a lot of bonds created within the side, so not to be underestimated, if you ask me. Kate Drake, Lewis Ferguson, yeah, he's a big miss. Young Ferguson, really exciting young striker. Won't be part of it though. It's a big upset for Scotland. Lungani, Pascal Gross is what Germany needed. Yeah, big Pascal Gross fan myself. I've always enjoyed watching him at Brighton. And I think early in his Premier League career, I think his move over to England probably hindered some of his chances with the German national team. But then based on his performances for Brighton, he's almost given Nagelsmann no choice but to bring him along, and then also comes off the bench to score the winner against Greece on Friday. So I think he's one of the first choice substitutes, could perhaps even break into the starting lineup on match day 2, definitely match day 3, depending on how things go. Nguyen Tuan, is Germany's midfield the best in the tournament? Well, when you've got Toni Kroos in your midfield, you're definitely in the conversation. Is it the best in the tournament? That's a tough one. That really is a tough one. I think England have got a really, really good midfield. I think France have a cracking midfield as well. And Portugal's midfield, is something that I think needs to be taken note of as well. not too many people talking about Portugal, but for me, I think they really could do big things at this tournament. Scooby-Drew, can you give some insight on the drills and games that the players are going through here? I can do my best. As said, I don't think there's too much behind these drills. We saw some limbering up, some warming up, a few shooting drills, and now just small-sided games. Seems here they've got some neutral players. I think the three players in pink acting as neutrals, and you've got the team without bibs and the team with white bibs. What this does is it creates numerical advantages or disadvantages for either the team without bibs or the team with white bibs. So in terms of defending, when you're at a disadvantage numerically, it forces you to sort of move as a unit, defend as a unit, keep things compact. Try and push your opponents into wide positions and sort of close out those passing lanes through central areas, if you like. And then when you have the numerical advantage, using those three pink neutral players, how can you use that to your advantage? How can you create spaces? How can you stretch defenses? How can you find those gaps in the middle? So how can you sort of break up the compact shape of a defense and find those little pockets of space and use them to your advantage? So I hope that's somewhat of an insight. I myself am not a coach, but have watched quite a few training sessions in my time. And these small-sided games with neutral players usually focused on one of those two things, either defending as a unit at a numerical disadvantage and keeping your shape, forcing the opponents into wide areas, which then in a real game scenario would allow players to get back behind the ball, allow you to set up your shape again, and so on. Or if you're in possession of the ball, how do you create those pockets of space to really sort of hurt your opponent and do so quickly, right, before players can get back into position. So that, I think, the thought process behind this training session right here. Not to mention, it doesn't give away too much tactically, right? As we've already seen, we've got Spain scouts in the chat, and I'm sure there'll be a few scouts, although they say it isn't done. I'm sure it is, as we all know, that there will be they will have their people watching these training sessions without a doubt. Servus from Singapore, Roy Heng Xuan. Nice to have you here as well. Zai Jia, do you think Ter Stegen will have a chance to start a game? Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think if Neuer's fit, he starts. I think that's already been proven in the build-up to these Euros and the friendlies that we've had. But then the goalkeeping position isn't the same as others where you necessarily want to rotate and give players rest. I think rotation for a goalkeeper can almost be detrimental. It can work in the opposite direction, right? You want your goalkeeper to be match fit, match ready, and if the first two games go well, it's not like Manuel Neuer is gonna really be extremely tired, right? You're not using as much energy, you're covering as much ground as a goalkeeper. And then do you want to rotate your goalkeepers, you know, break up that momentum? I'm not so sure you do. Then again, if Germany do win their first two games comfortably, do you give Ter Stegen a chance to impress? But then how does that help you in the long run if Manuel Neuer is going to come back into it after the group stage anyway for the fourth game? Is there any real benefit to bringing Ter Stegen in? Then let's say Ter Stegen has an absolute blinder of a game, although perhaps not important at that stage. Then he has a worldie in between the sticks, and then all of a sudden you've got half the country coming down on you as a manager, bringing in the discussion of should Ter Stegen start? Should he be ahead of Manuel Neuer? Then you have that discussion, then Neuer makes a mistake in game 4, and that just adds to the criticism. I'm not sure you really want to bring that in, so For me, unless Neuer's injured, I don't see a way for Ter Stegen to get into the team or start a game. Might be completely wrong. That's just the way I look at it. And I think you always have to see the big picture as a manager. And I'm not sure what benefit it would bring. Because, as said, I don't think goalkeepers need to necessarily rotate or be given a rest, because they simply don't need a rest as much as outfield players do. Travis Malcolm tuning in from Jamaica. Welcome to the chat and the live stream. Great to have you here. Little one Nasser, do you know how to speak Arabic? I'm afraid I don't. Salam alaikum is pretty much as far as it goes, as well as malaikum salam. Well, that's about it. Graham Caldwell, afternoon guys from Scotland. We have a Scotland fan in the chat as well. Looking forward to the opening game of the tournament. Don't think we're strong enough to get anything. Hope to be competitive and take that into the other two games. So a realistic approach from Graham. Welcome to the live stream and the chat. Great to have you here, Graham. And thanks for the input as well. Jorge from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Great to have you here as well. Icarus from Indonesia. People from all around the world tuning in. Die Mannschaft with fans from all around the world as well. Great to see and great to have you all here. Susi Baka, what was your country's best ever finish in the Euros? Not too high, shall we say. Chris from EU. Who do you think will finish second if Germany places first? Probably France. MW. How does the date 1966 make you feel? Well, I wasn't around then, so I don't feel too much, but not too great. MW. Good day all the way from Toronto. Eric's Builds, great to have you here as well. Elton asking, where are they training at? They are in Bayern at the moment, at the Adidasler Sportplatz. In Herzogenaurach, to be precise. Will be their home for the group stage at least, but most likely throughout the entire competition as well. Great setup here. Working together with Adidas for this training center. Thomas Müller scoring a cheeky little goal there to wrap up a small-sided game. Well, to make life easy for you, Susi Baka, my two teams are England and Austria. Although I will be keeping an eye on how Germany do as well.